The truth is brutal. Most men are rejected not because they lack looks or money, but because they act like every other man. And that makes them forgettable. What if I told you that 99% of men are unknowingly sabotaging their chances with women? Not because they're lacking looks, money, or charm, but because they're missing something far more subtle, yet far more powerful. Let's be real. You've probably seen guys who seem to have it all. The career, the physique, the confidence. And yet, they still struggle to build genuine, lasting connections with women. Have you ever wondered why? Here's the truth most men never hear. Attraction isn't built on surface-level qualities alone. It's the small, invisible things, unspoken signals, subtle gestures, psychological triggers that make a woman feel truly seen, valued, and deeply drawn in. And most men? They miss them entirely. In this video, I'm going to share 7 of these hidden secrets, things that women silently crave, but rarely ever voice. These aren't recycled dating cliches or pickup tricks. They're rooted in timeless psychology, real-world experience, and the grounded wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Imagine this. What if you could naturally unlock those subconscious desires? What if you didn't need to chase, impress, or overperform? Because just by being aware of these triggers, you could set yourself apart from 99% of other men. If you don't know these secrets, you're playing the game of connection blindfolded. You could be doing everything right on the surface, yet missing the chance to build the kind of deep emotional imprint that lingers long after you've left the room. That's why I need you to stay with me until the end. The final secret I'll reveal is the most transformative one, and once you understand it, you'll never approach women the same way again. Before we dive in, do one thing for me. If you're serious about becoming the kind of man who connects, who captivates, who actually understands what women long for, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into it. Secret number 1, the power of touch. Before intimacy, picture this. You're on a date. The conversation is flowing effortlessly. She's laughing at your jokes. The energy feels good. And yet something feels just a little off. Like the chemistry is there, but the connection hasn't quite locked in. She's engaged, but something's missing. The truth is, many men leave a date thinking everything went well. Good laughs, smooth conversation, chemistry that felt promising. But then, nothing. A day passes. No reply. The connection vanishes like smoke. And they're left wondering, what did I miss? What most men don't realize is this. Attraction for women is never just verbal. It's a full-body, emotional experience. Words can open the door, but physical presence, emotional safety, and subtle touch are what truly invite her in. And one of the most overlooked yet incredibly powerful gestures is this. A gentle, non-sexual massage before intimacy. Now you might think, really? That's it? But hear me out. For a woman, trust and emotional connection are everything. They are not an optional bonus. They are the foundation. A well-timed, intentional, and respectful touch communicates something words simply can't. It says, I'm present. I care. I want you to feel seen, safe, and appreciated. This has nothing to do with technique. You don't need to be a trained masseur or aim to impress. What matters most is intent. Are you tuned in? Are you present in the moment, paying attention to how she responds, her breath, her comfort? That's what she notices. That's what melts her walls. The power lies not in the act of touching, but in the energy behind it. The calm confidence of a man who doesn't rush, who understands that emotional intimacy always precedes physical intimacy and a meaningful connection. Most men don't get this. They jump too quickly. They focus on the physical goal instead of the emotional buildup. That's why they're forgotten, ghosted, and left wondering what went wrong. But you're not here to be like most men. You're here to master what 99% overlook. As Marcus Aurelius said, don't waste time wondering what a good man should be. Be one. Let your presence, not just your words, be the proof. Don't overthink it. Don't make it awkward. Just slow down, be in the moment, and hold space for her to feel safe with you. Because in a world full of men chasing instant gratification, the man who prioritizes emotional depth stands out like fire in the dark. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Now let's move to the next one. Secret number 2. Flirting with confidence and respect. Flirting is a lost art for most men. They either try too hard and come across as needy, or hold back completely out of fear. But the man who learns to flirt with subtlety, confidence, and deep respect, he becomes magnetic. So now that you've started building emotional connection through thoughtful presence and gentle touch, it's time to add something most men never master: flirting with calm confidence and playful ease. Flirting isn't about cheesy one-liners or trying to force chemistry. It's an energy, a rhythm, a playful dance where no one's rushing the steps. A man who knows how to flirt with subtle confidence creates intrigue, not pressure. He makes her smile, laugh, lean in, not because he's trying to win her over, but because he's genuinely enjoying the exchange. Think of it like this: flirting is the seasoning, not the main course. And the best kind? It's light, teasing, and natural. Let's say she mentions loving sushi. Instead of nodding and agreeing, you could reply, "Really? That's your top pick? I might need to introduce you to real food sometime." That's a gentle challenge. Fun, harmless, but engaging. You're not trying to be mean or arrogant, just playful. You're showing personality without trying to impress. And here's the crucial truth: flirting isn't about approval. The more you try to impress, the more your energy slips into desperation. Women feel that instantly. What they respond to is a man who's comfortable in his own skin, someone who can joke, tease, and connect without needing anything in return. This is where Stoic wisdom steps in. A high-value man doesn't flirt to gain validation. He flirts because he enjoys the moment. He's grounded. He's in control of his emotions. His confidence isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and undeniable. Flirting isn't just verbal. It's physical too. Eye contact that lingers, a subtle smirk, a calm nod, a pause before speaking. These non-verbal cues speak louder than words ever could. They build tension, curiosity, and attraction without ever needing a pickup line. So ask yourself, are you flirting to prove something? Or are you simply enjoying the back and forth like a man who knows his worth? Master that, and you'll stop chasing attention and start commanding it, which brings us to something surprisingly powerful. Secret number 3, the subtle power of touching her hair. This one might surprise you. It's a small gesture, almost easy to miss. But when done right, it creates a moment so emotionally charged that she remembers it long after it's over. Most men overlook this completely, but a gentle, well-timed touch of her hair can be one of the most intimate signals of trust and connection. Why does this work so well? Because the scalp is full of sensitive nerve endings. A soft touch here taps into emotional memory. It says, without words, "You're safe here. I see you. You matter." But timing is everything. Do it too soon, and it feels invasive. Do it too late, and the moment passes. But when you're attuned to her body language, when there's already closeness, warmth, and laughter, it can be magic. We just talked about the power of touching her hair. When done right, it becomes a language of emotional connection. But let's go deeper into what truly makes this gesture powerful. It's not about the act itself. It's about what the gesture communicates without saying a word. When you gently move a strand of her hair out of her face, it's not just romantic. It's a message. I see you. I'm here. I'm tuned into you. But here's where many men completely miss the mark. They either rush it, like it's part of a checklist, or do it in a way that feels empty, like they're mimicking something they saw in a movie. And guess what? Women feel that. This gesture only works when it's done with full presence. When you're genuinely there with her, not distracted, not calculating, just grounded in the moment. Imagine the scene. You're in the middle of a heartfelt conversation. She's laughing. You're both leaning in. And with ease and intention, you brush a loose strand of hair behind her ear. That tiny, silent act speaks louder than a dozen compliments. But timing, my friend, is everything. This isn't something you do on the first date or when the chemistry hasn't had time to grow. You wait, you observe, you watch how she responds to your presence. If she leans in, if she maintains eye contact, if there's warmth in her expression, that's when you know the moment is right. Try to force it too soon, and you break the rhythm. But when the energy is right, that simple touch becomes unforgettable. From a Stoic lens, this is about emotional intelligence and intentional restraint. Stoicism teaches us not to be impulsive, not to act on every fleeting desire, but to master our urges and respond with clarity. So instead of reaching out just because you want to, you wait until the moment creates the invitation. When it happens naturally, when it's driven by connection, not craving, it becomes powerful. So next time you're with a woman and the air between you feels charged with possibility, don't underestimate the impact of a small, gentle touch on her hair. When done with confidence and presence, it becomes a whisper of emotional intimacy that lingers long after the moment ends. Now let's move to another subtle yet powerful gesture that most men overlook. Secret number 4. The hand on her back in public. This might seem like nothing, a casual gesture barely noticeable, but it speaks volumes to a woman's subconscious. When you confidently place your hand on a woman's lower back to guide her through a crowd, across a street, or into a room, you're communicating 3 things without saying a word: leadership, presence, and protection. You're showing that you're grounded, that you're aware of your environment, and that you've got her. Not in a possessive way, but in a protective masculine way that feels both natural and subtle. And yet, 99% of men hesitate. They overthink it, second-guess themselves, or avoid it altogether because they fear it'll come off as too much. But here's the truth. Women don't need flashy displays of dominance to feel safe. What they crave are these micro-expressions of grounded masculine energy. When your touch is calm, not needy, intentional, not forced, it creates a moment of connection in a setting where many couples feel disconnected. You're leading, but gently. You're protecting, but without trying to prove anything. From a psychological perspective, this simple act signals confidence and security, and those two things ignite attraction far more than words ever could. Having a grounded presence in public doesn't require bold moves or grand gestures. It's often in the smallest things, like placing your hand gently on her back. When done right, this single touch says everything. I've got you. It communicates quiet leadership, strength, and security without needing to speak a word. This isn't about dominance. It's about presence, not possessiveness but reassurance. Too many men hesitate in these moments. They question themselves, overthink it, and miss the opportunity to demonstrate calm, masculine energy. Or worse, they overdo it and turn a simple gesture into something awkward or overbearing. But a man who understands his own energy knows better. He doesn't need to second guess. He moves with intent, and it shows in his body language. Picture this. You're walking side by side through a crowded space. You step slightly ahead, open the door for her, and as she walks past, your hand rests for a brief moment on her lower back. It's light, firm, and confident. You don't break stride. You don't look for her approval. You just move, and she feels it. That calm assurance, that leadership, that quiet presence that says you're safe here. From a Stoic perspective, this isn't just body language. It's self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." A man of character doesn't explain himself. He embodies it. So when you guide her with a gentle hand, you're not making a move. You're making a statement. You're showing her that you know who you are, and that kind of presence is rare. Now let's talk about something even deeper, something primal. Secret 5. Be her hero. Be her protector. Every man, whether he admits it or not, carries a buried instinct to shield, to guard, to step forward when chaos hits. And not because a woman needs saving, but because the masculine spirit is built to lead, to stand firm, to offer calm when everything else is shaking. Women don't want a savior. They want a man who gives them the quiet freedom to be soft, because he is strong, not just physically but emotionally. And here's the part most men miss. That role isn't earned through muscles or a flashy car or a high-paying job. It's earned through emotional strength, through calm when she's overwhelmed, through silence when she needs grounding. Being her protector doesn't mean jumping in to fix everything like a mechanic with a wrench. It's not about offering quick solutions or telling her how to feel better. And it's definitely not about solving her bad day like you'd patch up a leaking pipe. What she truly craves, what most men overlook, is your presence, not your problem solving. She wants a man who can hold the storm, not silence it. Someone who stays calm when she's unraveling, not someone who tries to shut her down or turn the moment into a logic puzzle to solve. When she's spiraling, whether it's stress, emotion, or hormones, she doesn't need you to analyze or interrupt. She's not asking for answers. She's asking, Can you stay steady when I'm not? Can you be the one thing in her chaos that doesn't move? That's what makes you her anchor. Not flashy words, not grand gestures, but that quiet, grounded energy that says, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, and I don't need you to be perfect. The more she feels this from you, the more your energy stays centered, the more she can finally breathe. She lets go of the weight she's been carrying. She relaxes into her softness because she no longer feels like she's the only one holding it together. This is the difference between a man she dates and a man she trusts with her vulnerability. So let's talk specifics. Being her protector means listening with your full attention. Not just hearing her words, but watching her body language. It means letting her vent without rushing in to patch things up. It's staying composed when she pushes boundaries, not to punish, but to show her that her storm can't shake your foundation. It means stepping up when life throws fire without becoming part of the flame. And here's the most powerful part. You don't wait until she's falling apart to become this man. You already are him. You lead with grounded presence. You speak with calm clarity. You walk with quiet strength. You don't say, I've got you. She feels it by how you move, how you stay calm when others would collapse. But let me draw a clear line. Being her protector doesn't mean being her emotional punching bag. It doesn't mean allowing disrespect, manipulation, or chaos in your space. In fact, your protection starts with you. You guard your own emotional world first, because no man can truly protect someone else if he can't protect his own peace. This is why Stoic wisdom is timeless when it comes to love. Seneca once wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance." And that applies here too. You don't stumble into strength, you become it, through presence, discipline, and choosing every single day to be the man who stays steady even when everything else doesn't. You don't do this to impress her. You don't do it to prove your worth. You do it because this is who you are now, who you've forged yourself to be. The man who leads instead of chases. The man who protects with calm presence, not with noisy bravado. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop trying to prove yourself is the moment she finally sees you. Her energy shifts. Her defenses melt. She leans in, not because you rescued her, but because she realizes you never needed rescuing. You didn't fall apart when she did. You didn't try to fix her to feel useful. You simply stayed steady, clear, unshaken. That's what changed everything. Because deep in her nervous system, at a level she may never be able to fully articulate, she doesn't crave a hero. She craves a man who doesn't need saving, and doesn't flinch when she does. So if you've had enough of overgiving, if you're tired of being the emotional sponge just to keep a connection alive, if you're ready to step fully into the kind of masculinity that doesn't shout but radiates from within, drop this in the comments. I protect with presence. That's the man she truly respects. The one who listens without rushing to fix. The one who holds space without fear. The one who leads without losing himself. That man becomes her safe place. Not just physically, but emotionally. He's not just a protector of her body. He's the guardian of peace in her nervous system. And that is a far deeper kind of intimacy than most men ever understand. Sixth secret, the charm of a beard now. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that seems surface level, but actually speaks volumes about presence and primal attraction. The beard. To most, it's just hair. To some, a style choice. But for many women, if it's worn with confidence, it taps into something ancient, something subconscious. No, not every woman is into beards. Some prefer clean-shaven, others like the soft scruff, and some love the rugged, full-bearded look. But regardless of taste, the beard, done right, signals something universal. Masculine presence. Why? Because facial hair isn't just about aesthetics. It changes the way you're perceived. And perception is everything in attraction. A well-maintained beard sends a quiet message. I've evolved past the boyish phase. I'm not seeking validation. I just am. And that energy? That's magnetic. It's stoic. It's composed. It's grounded. It's the kind of unshaken presence that lingers even after you leave the room. But let's go deeper. Psychologically, facial hair symbolizes dominance, not the loud in-your-face kind. The subtle kind. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that walks in, says nothing, and still owns the room. It's presence through stillness. Power through quiet. Confidence without the need to explain. When a woman sees a man who owns that energy and wears a beard as a symbol of that energy, it triggers something primal, something rooted in safety, maturity, and strength. So if you wear one, don't just wear it like an accessory. Wear it like armor. Trim it. Respect it. Let it reflect the inner foundation you've been building, because it's not just hair. It's a signal. Let's go deeper into what your beard truly represents. A beard, when worn with intention, becomes more than a grooming choice. It becomes an extension of your identity. To her, it's not just facial hair. It's a visual cue, a symbol, a subtle signal of the kind of man you are, or more importantly, the kind of man you choose to be. You see, women may not always say it outright, but they notice. They feel it. A man who keeps his beard neat, shaped, and intentional sends a clear message without uttering a single word. I care about the energy I bring into the world. It's the quiet confidence that separates him from the boys. It says you value structure, that you're aware of your presence and how it impacts the people around you. And here's the thing most men miss. She doesn't run her hand across your jaw just because it feels good. That contact, that moment, is layered with emotional significance. It's the friction of masculine against feminine. It's her stepping closer to your frame, her body subconsciously responding to the polarity you carry. That physical contrast, her smooth softness against your rugged edge, sends a signal that she's in the presence of a grounded masculine force. This is what creates chemistry. But here's the hard truth. The beard itself isn't magic. You can't slap one on and expect to feel like a king. It doesn't cover weakness, insecurity, or chaos. If anything, it highlights what's already there. If you're still chasing approval, giving too much, explaining yourself too often, or unsure of your purpose, the beard becomes noise, just another mask. But when your internal world is aligned, when you walk with purpose, speak with intention, and hold firm boundaries, then the beard enhances your presence. It amplifies everything that's already powerful about you. This is Stoic philosophy in action. Epictetus once said, Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. Your beard shouldn't be a costume. It should be a reflection of your core, a statement, not a substitute. And if facial hair isn't your style, that's fine too. Because this isn't really about grooming. It's about being deliberate with how you show up. It's about choosing your expression with clarity, not defaulting to trends. Whether you shave every day or grow a full beard, what matters is the energy behind it. Does your appearance match your inner world? Do you walk like a man who knows himself? Because when those two things align, your presence and your expression, women feel it. They don't just see you, they sense you. And that, more than anything else, is what makes you unforgettable. So don't get caught up in the superficial. Grow your beard, or don't. But whatever you do, do it on purpose, with presence, with pride. Let it be an extension of the discipline, the self-mastery, and the power you've worked to build from within. And if that reminder landed with you today, if you truly understand now that masculinity isn't just something a woman senses, but something she sees, then I want you to type it below. I wear strength. Because a man who knows who he is doesn't need to shout it. He doesn't need to explain it. He wears it, in his stance, in his silence, in the quiet confidence of a beard he chose, not because it's trendy, but because it reflects who he's become. That's presence. That's power. Now let's shift gears and talk about the seventh secret. One that's so subtle, so often ignored, yet so profoundly effective. It might just be the most underrated of them all. Shared laughter. Let me ask you something real. When was the last time you made a woman laugh? And I don't mean the polite kind of laugh, the one that dies the second it leaves her lips. I'm talking about real, unguarded, head thrown back, can't help herself laughter. The kind that sneaks up on her and takes over her entire body. The kind that softens her eyes, that makes her reach out and touch your arm without even thinking. That kind of laugh, that's intimacy in its rawest form. Most men miss this completely. They're too focused on trying to impress, trying to appear mysterious, powerful, serious, cool. And sure, there's strength in composure, there's power in presence. But if that's all you bring to the table, she might respect you, but she won't remember you. Why? Because laughter is what opens the heart. You see, laughter isn't just about fun. It's about safety. It's about connection. When you make a woman laugh genuinely, you're bypassing logic and speaking directly to her nervous system. Biologically, when she laughs with you, her body releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical. The same one released during deep trust, physical affection, and emotional safety. And in that moment, she's not just smiling, she's relaxing. She's letting go. Her defenses drop. And suddenly, you're not just a man she's talking to. You're the one who feels like home. You become the space she wants to return to again and again, not because you're the loudest, but because you make her feel the lightest. But here's the part most men get wrong. It's not about being a clown. It's not about trying hard to entertain or force jokes. It's about timing. It's about awareness. It's about saying just the right thing, at just the right moment, with just the right tone. Sometimes it's a dry observation. Sometimes it's playful teasing. Sometimes it's letting her tease you and playing along. Think of it like this. You're out with her. The night is winding down. The conversation is flowing but mellow. and you catch a moment, something small, a detail only someone present would notice. You say something about it, something clever, maybe unexpected. She laughs, really laughs, and in that instant, everything changes. That moment, that shared laughter, is the glue, the spark, the memory that lingers long after you're gone. This is what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. So if you're serious about connection, not surface level, not temporary, but real, soul-level chemistry, learn to lean into laughter. Let it be your secret weapon, your bridge between tension and trust, between mystery and magnetism. Because in the end, she might forget what you wore. She might forget what you said, but she'll never forget how you made her laugh. So we've touched on how laughter can melt walls and build chemistry without pressure. But what happens when the moment quiets down, when she leans in, not for a joke, but for something real? That's where your dream comes in, not the kind you talk about once and forget, but the kind that shapes how you move, how you think, how you lead. A man with a dream carries gravity. He becomes magnetic, not because he's trying to pull her in, but because his path is already pulling him forward. And that, right there, is what draws her in deeper than charm ever could. She watches the way your eyes light up when you speak about what you're building. She notices how your back straightens when you talk about your mission. She feels the conviction in your voice, not because you're loud, but because you believe it. That belief is rare, and to a woman with depth, it's irresistible. You see, women aren't just looking for a man who shows up today. They're looking for a man who knows where he's going tomorrow. A man who doesn't just chase pleasure, but chases purpose. Because in a world full of noise and distraction, a man who walks a straight line is hard to ignore. Let's be real. Most men drift. They exist. They clock in, clock out. But the ones who rise, the ones women remember, are the ones who build. They build businesses, yes, but more importantly, they build character. They build vision. They build momentum. A woman may be drawn to your looks, she might even like your confidence. But if you want to keep her attention, if you want her loyalty, not just her affection, show her your direction. Let her feel that when she's with you, she's not standing still. She's moving forward. And here's the secret. You don't need to be there yet. You don't need to be rich, successful, or famous. You just need to be in motion. Head up, heart locked in, fire lit. That's what Stoicism teaches us. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." A Stoic man doesn't fantasize, he decides. Then he moves, even when it's hard, even when no one's clapping. So, if you're a man building something, even if it's brick by brick, day by day, let her see that. Let her feel it. Because when a woman senses your dream is real, she'll want to walk beside you, not just as a lover, but as a witness to your rise. And if this resonates, if you're that man in motion, drop it in the comments. I build with purpose. Because the man who moves with vision moves everything around him, including her heart. Picking up from where we left off, about laughter, energy, and presence. There's something even deeper that creates gravitational pull in a man's energy. the unapologetic pursuit of something greater than himself, his dream, his mission. See, it's never been about money. Not really. It's not about titles or fame either. The dream isn't sexy because of what it might achieve. It's sexy because of what it reveals about the man behind it. A man with purpose is alive in a way most people aren't. He's not drifting. He's not stagnant. He wakes up with fire in his gut, direction in his step, and a reason to sharpen his mind every single day. And that kind of momentum, that kind of focus, it's magnetic. You want to know what truly captivates women at the deepest level? It's not the man who texts all day. It's not the one who always says yes. It's the man who can look her in the eye and say, with calm certainty, I can't stay long. I've got work to do. And mean it. Not as a cold brush off, but as a declaration of self-respect, of discipline, of focus. Here's the real secret. You don't win a woman's heart by making her your focus. You win it by making your path the focus and letting her feel the intensity in your presence when you speak about it. That's what lights something up in her. That's what earns her admiration, not through begging or pleasing, but through direction. Because when she sees your path, when she senses your trajectory, she doesn't just admire you, she respects you. And that respect, even if unspoken, becomes the very foundation of attraction. She begins to lean in, not because you asked, but because she feels the movement. And movement is life. Now here's where most men get it wrong. They assume chasing their dream means losing women, that women will feel pushed aside if they're not placed front and center. But the exact opposite is true. When your mission comes first, you're no longer needy. You're no longer reactive to her moods. You become the man who doesn't crumble on hard days, the one who rises even when she falls. And that's when trust is born. Quietly, deeply. She may never say it out loud, but deep within every feminine woman is a silent question pulsing beneath the surface. Can I follow this man? Not physically, but emotionally, energetically. Can I surrender into this space he creates? Can I exhale knowing that his life has a direction beyond me? That's why your dream matters. Because it shows her that being in your world isn't just about fun or chemistry. It's about motion. It's about elevation. Women don't fall for men who drift. They fall for the ones who build, the ones who stay obsessed, the ones who refuse to live beneath their calling. Because your dream, when lived fully, becomes a filter, a mirror, a standard. And without you ever having to say it, it becomes the test that only the right woman will pass. The ones ready to rise with you will stay. Picking up from where we left off, on the power of vision and purpose, there's, something you must ask yourself now with brutal honesty. What are you building? What dream pulls you out of bed with more intensity than a woman's attention ever could? What fire keeps burning inside you whether she's watching or not? Because without that, you might become emotionally available, but spiritually hollow. A man who's kind, polite, even charming, but ultimately forgettable. And no woman, no matter how much she may care, wants to link her soul to a man who's standing still. Now, through the lens of Stoicism, let's revisit the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That right there, that's what dream energy feels like. That's the kind of energy that becomes magnetic, not because life is easy, but because you choose to walk through fire with intention anyway. You keep building, you keep moving, you keep sacrificing. And whether she says it aloud or not, she sees it. She sees the way your eyes light up when you talk about a vision no one else believes in yet. She notices the way you show up for your mission, the late nights, the self-discipline, the unwavering focus. And even if she doesn't understand every detail of your journey, she feels something deep in her gut. Safety. Not because you're constantly catering to her emotions, but because she knows you're grounded in something greater than both of you. So if you're the kind of man who's tired of chasing relationships with no center, no aim, no weight, if you're finally ready to be chosen not for how much you give, but for how deeply you walk in your truth, then type it in the comments right now. I chase purpose, because a man who leads with his vision, he doesn't just attract attention. He attracts loyalty, respect. He attracts a kind of love that doesn't flinch when life hits hard. So dream loud, move quietly. Let your mission speak louder than your mouth ever could. Now let's talk about the 9th secret, the power of listening. Let's be real. Most men hear, but very few actually listen. And if you're serious about building something real, something deeper than momentary chemistry, then this right here, this is the skill that changes the entire game. Listening. And no, I don't mean nodding while mentally rehearsing your next response. I don't mean fake engagement while scrolling your phone. I don't mean tossing out empty words like, I understand, when you haven't even processed what she said. I'm talking about presence, about a silence that makes her feel seen, not evaluated, heard, not managed. The kind of listening that actually slows her down, softens her, makes her feel safe enough to exhale. Because here's the truth, brother. When a woman feels truly heard, something shifts inside her. Walls fall, masks drop, the performance ends, and what's left is intimacy, connection, safety. Most men try to impress her with their words, but the high-value man, he impresses with his silence. Listening isn't passive, it's powerful. It's a kind of stillness that says, I'm here with you. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm not trying to change you. I'm just here. And that kind of presence, that's the beginning of real intimacy. It's not about saying more. It's about noticing more. It's noticing the subtle shift in her tone when she talks about her childhood. It's catching the tension in her voice when she mentions someone she used to trust. It's remembering that tiny detail she shared weeks ago, something she didn't think mattered, and then bringing it back at the exact moment it does. That's not just memory, that's care. Want to absolutely stand out? Don't just buy her flowers. Instead, listen so deeply that you begin to understand what her words are really saying, what's beneath them, what's unspoken. Because here's what most men miss. Women don't speak just to be answered. They speak to be felt, to be met, in emotion, not logic. When she tells you about her day, it's not always because she needs advice. She's letting you in. She's revealing her inner world. And if you rush to fix it or try to make it better, you've missed the gift she was offering. The chance to be her witness, not her mechanic. The man who gets this, who just stays present, grounded, and attentive, he becomes unforgettable. Because he makes her feel something no one else does, emotionally safe. And here's where it gets powerful. When a woman feels emotionally seen and heard, her body naturally follows. Her guard drops. Her affection increases. She begins to associate your presence with peace. Not because you performed, but because you didn't interrupt the moment with your ego. And that's something most men never master. Why? Because it takes humility. It takes slowing down. It takes putting your need to be right on pause and replacing it with curiosity. That's what Stoicism teaches us. As Epictetus said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen twice as much as we speak. A Stoic man doesn't rush conversation. He lets it unfold. He listens for patterns, for feelings, for meaning between the lines. So if you've ever had a woman tell you, you don't listen, even though you swear you were trying, this is why. She didn't mean you didn't hear. She meant you didn't connect. Listening isn't about silence. It's about presence. It's about being able to say, I noticed that pause in your voice. Or, I remember when you said this mattered to you. That's what makes her eyes soften. That's what makes her lean in. High-level listening looks like this. You let her finish, even if you already know what you want to say. You ask questions that go deeper, like, what did that feel like for you? Instead of, why didn't you just? You repeat her words not to mimic, but to show her you understand what matters. You match her body language, mirror her energy, and stay curious about her emotional rhythm. And the more you listen, the more you'll notice this strange but powerful shift. You don't need to say much, because your silence, your presence, your attention, it says everything. Let's wrap this up with a truth most men forget the longer they're in the game. The power of spontaneity. Not chaos, not impulsive drama. I'm talking about that raw, alive energy that says, I'm here. I feel this moment, let's do something about it. Because here's what most men don't realize. When life becomes too structured, too safe, too predictable, something vital dies. Passion, polarity, that electric push-pull between masculine and feminine energy. You could be the most loyal, dependable man in the world, but if you become emotionally predictable, you become easy to forget. Why? Because women don't fall in love with routines. They fall in love with moments, and moments only happen when you're bold enough to break the pattern. Spontaneity is the spark in the dark. It's the reason her heart skips a beat. It's when you lean over in the middle of a quiet dinner and say, let's get out of here. No plan, no reason. Just presence, just connection. And that single decision, small as it may seem, becomes the memory she replays in her mind when she's alone. Now here's the secret. It's not about impressing her. It's about moving with the rhythm of the moment. You sense a shift in the air, and you act on it. You notice her mood is heavy, so you don't talk her out of it. You grab her hand, take her outside, and walk in silence under the stars. No agenda, just being alive together. This is what women crave but rarely say out loud. A man who doesn't need a reason to act. A man who hasn't been numbed by routine. A man who doesn't need a 5-step plan to kiss her when the vibe is right. He just does it. Fully present, fully grounded, And here's where Stoic wisdom becomes your weapon again. Stoicism doesn't mean stiff. It doesn't mean emotionless. It means having the clarity and calm to move with intention, to trust your instincts, to create freedom within form. It means understanding that the moment doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Because spontaneity isn't recklessness. It's responsiveness. It's the art of living with your eyes open. It's how you show her that while you are reliable, you are not robotic. That your spirit is alive. That your masculinity still surprises her in the best way. And that, my brother, is unforgettable. So let me ask you, when was the last time you broke the script? When was the last time you acted from presence instead of planning? When was the last time you looked at her, not as someone to please, but as someone to spark something with? If you're ready to reignite the thrill, if you're done living on autopilot and ready to move like a man who creates his moments instead of waiting for them, then drop this in the comments. I lead with aliveness. Because the man who mixes stability with surprise, the man who brings both structure and spark, that man becomes impossible to forget. And now, we've arrived at the final piece, the last signal most men overlook, but the one that could set you apart for life. Let's talk about spontaneity, not just as something fun, but as something vital. Because here's the truth. When you keep that spark alive, when you let yourself act on instinct, break from routine, and create moments out of thin air, you don't just become memorable, you become magnetic. You become an experience, not just a relationship. And that difference, that's everything. Let me flip the script on you. Spontaneity isn't just something you do for her, it's something you do for you. It's a declaration that you haven't gone numb to life, that you're still curious, that your soul still stretches, that you haven't been consumed by to-do lists, routines, and predictable patterns. You're not here just to pay bills and exist. You're here to feel, to experience, to create. Sparks in the middle of ordinary days. And women feel that. They feel when a man is lit from the inside, not by drama, not by chaos, but by aliveness. They sense it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you suggest a random turn down a street you've never walked, or order the wildest thing on the menu, or kiss her without a countdown, like it's the first time all over again. That's the stuff that lingers. That's what she remembers. Not the perfect plan, not the well-rehearsed moves, but the unrehearsed moment where you let yourself be real, present, untamed, and completely there with her. And if you want to understand why this matters more than ever, remember this. Polarity thrives in mystery. When she always knows your next move, she stops wondering. When she stops wondering, she stops reaching. When she stops reaching, connection fades. But when you mix certainty with unpredictability, when she knows she's safe but doesn't know what you'll do next, that's when you become unforgettable. You don't have to be wild all the time. You don't have to be reckless, but don't be a robot. Don't be so structured that you forget how to spark wonder. She doesn't want you perfect. She wants you alive. She wants the kind of man who can hold the line and then break the pattern. The man who's grounded enough to protect her and wild enough to keep her awake. And if you've been going through life on autopilot, if you've been following the script, doing everything right yet watching the fire fade, let this be your wake-up call. Be unpredictable with purpose. Let her feel that you're still evolving, still electric, still the kind of man who can turn An ordinary Thursday into a memory that plays on repeat in her mind. Because that is what women never forget. That's the power of spontaneity, and the man who wields it with presence, intention, and calm command. He becomes the one she tells her friends about, the one she holds on to in silence when she can't explain why she still feels him. So here we are, brother. Subtle, yet powerful, truths that 99% of men never learn, but that the most unforgettable ones live by. Not because they're tricks, not because they're manipulations, but because they reflect a man who's aware, a man who's awake, a man who leads not with ego, but with presence. And in a world full of noise, distraction, and surface-level games, that kind of man, he doesn't chase women. He attracts loyalty, he earns respect, and he holds a woman's heart without ever begging for it. Because when you touch her before intimacy, when you walk with purpose, when you listen without needing to speak, when you can laugh freely and dream without apology, you stop playing the game. You become the standard. And if something in this video hit you hard, not just as entertainment, but as a moment of recognition, then don't scroll past it. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell, because we're just getting started. This isn't fast food dating advice. This is a movement, a mindset, a place for men who are done chasing validation and ready to build identity. If that's you, welcome. And if you're ready for what's next, meet me in tomorrow's video. Until then, stay grounded, stay dangerous, stay unforgettable.